Hey, welcome to another episode of the DTC Insider podcast. I am Roisentul, your host, and today I'm going to interview Nathan Hodge. He's the co-founder and CEO of Raaka Chocolate, which started in a home kitchen and has grown to an internationally distributed leader in the craft chocolate industry. He's a published author of The Art and Craft of Chocolate. He's a leader of the transparent trade movement in the chocolate and confection industry. So this is going to be a really interesting story and a really interesting episode. Nathan, thanks for being here on the show. It's a pleasure to have you on.
Yeah, thanks so much, Brian. I'm excited to dig in with you on some of these topics.
Yeah, these are pretty exciting times with everything we are living in the DTC space, in the advertising space, email marketing in general, many changes, AI is all over the place. So everything is changing, right? But I would like to start with the basics. I would like you to tell the audience more about your story. So why don't you start telling them more about your background, and about Raaka Chocolate?
Yeah, so I started Raaka Chocolate very soon after getting out of school. I moved to New York right after college. Had done some work um, in the culinary industry to get through school as one does, and I sort of fell in love with it for sure. And I've always had an interest in how things are made, where different ingredients come from. Chocolate is obviously one of those things that like I personally knew so little about. And everyone in my life knew so little about it when I started this. But the company was founded by Ryan Cheney, who was the CEO for many years, and he recently left. He left about 2 years ago, and I took over the day-to-day operations. And when we met in New York City, and oh man, it's so many years now. It's like 2010, 2011. We really bonded over the idea that business can be done in like a very respectful way from top to bottom, from the way you treat your suppliers, the way you talk to your customers, the way you empower your employees to think creatively and to make decisions for themselves in the workplace, and to help craft jobs for themselves that are fulfilling. And it was sort of at a time, it was coming out of the recession. There weren't a lot of companies hiring at that time, so we made our own jobs in a way. And so yeah, that's sort of the way the business was started, or the reason the business was started. It's been quite a journey. The how, from starting in an apartment to renting commercial kitchen space on the weekends, late at night, when the rates were the cheapest, after selling at farmers markets during the day, to signing our first lease on a space, which was a 1,100 square foot tiny little industrial loft on the second floor. So we're having to take cocoa beans up the stairs in 70-kilo bags. To now, like you said, internationally recognized craft chocolate brands. We have our 11,000 square foot factory right a stone's throw from the waterfront in Red Hook. Yeah, so it's been quite the journey.
Nice. So of course I'm going to ask you later about the journey from going from point A to point B, right? From your kitchen to the international market, right? So before doing that, one, I love chocolate, but I know so little about it. And going through your website and checking you out online, I saw that this is not any other chocolate company, right? So as far as I love chocolate, I found your website very informational, and I found a clear mission there on let's say on the, I don't know if in the hero section, but uh, it was visible, right? So why did you choose that mission, and how do you think it helps create a successful brands and differentiate from your competitors?
Sure. Yeah, I think the thing the thing that's been very both inspiring and humbling about it, about the mission of the brand, right, is that the more you try to learn about the supply chain of cocoa and of the chocolate industry, the more you uncover that you don't know. And I feel like people are really looking for, this is something that every brand is searching for, right? Like authenticity, right? It's so important um, to reaching people in the 21st century. So I think for us, the way we've really gotten to authenticity is by sharing everything that we know and admitting the things that we don't know about the like complicated nature of chocolate, but also the overarching complicated nature of commodity trading. And so that's something that when we start using the term transparent trade, that's the thing that was really sticking out to us, because there's so little people know about fair trade and its relation to commodity market, its reliance on the commodity market, as opposed to building a model that's based on the highest quality raw materials that we can get. That's decoupled. That's decoupled is, it's not fully decoupled, right? Because it's almost impossible to separate the industry from commodity trading. But as much as possible is trying to operate independently of the commodity system by saying, okay, we're going to pay stable prices every year for the highest quality materials that our partners on the ground in Uganda, Tanzania, and the Dominican Republic, like the highest raw materials that they can feasibly output. And it definitely shows in the quality of the chocolate, and it definitely like educates people in sort of a space that is so prevalent, like in our daily lives, right? Like the amount of petroleum that's needed for products and for getting around, the cotton that's in our t-shirts, everything around us is influenced by commodities. So telling that story through chocolate, and in our small way trying to the term that we've been using a lot most recently is the idea of merit, not market, right? That just like if you're the best in your field at something, you expect to be paid well beyond what the market salary is for that position. And sort of the same should be true if you're producing the highest quality cocoa beans in the world. Like you should expect to get paid far and away more than what the commodity market dictates you should be getting paid.
Great. I got a question for you about the mission. One thing is why it's important for you, the founders, the team, right? And another is why it should be important for somebody else and how it affects the business. So in this case, I would like to talk about this second part. Have you been able to measure? Because for context, we always talk about different factors that can make you different as a brand. And one of them is these, core values, the sustainability factor, or any other that each brand chooses, right? In this case, your unique mission in this space makes you unique. It's important for you and your team. Do you think, or have you measured whether your customers are into that or not, whether they care, and how it benefits your sales, marketing, etc., or not?
Yeah, no, I think that so for us, like it's pretty, the message is pretty simple, right? It's yes, there's a mission, right? We want to empower communities, bring more money back to communities so that there's better infrastructure, so that there are better roads built, so that there is the opportunity for ecotourism, so that there's better access to healthcare for families, better education, et cetera, right? But for the customer, like, the simple answer is like, yes, you're taking part in a more fair system, but you're taking part in a fair system, and the outcome for you is that you get the highest quality chocolate. Right? So it's sort of twofold. It's like the bet, like, you can feel good that you're supporting a brand that cares about um uh the community surrounding Budabugio, Uganda, and uh uh helping those families earn a little bit more income so that they aren't beholden to large uh multinational conglomerate commodities trading companies. And the other way that benefits you is you get a chocolate experience that is unlike anything else that you're going to find on the shelf. So I think that, like, that's in talking to our customers, that's sort of what they come away with most. It's that, oh, I like you guys because the brand stands for something, but also I really like the chocolate and it checks all these boxes for me. Because I think that's like something too that seems to be at the forefront of, like, consumer behavior right now, is the idea of, like, compromising values um for, like, choosing which values to compromise for products so you can save a little bit of money, right? And so that's something that we're talking more about. And when we talk to our customers, it's like, you guys use only whole ingredients, the product's organic, the product's traded fairly, it tastes good, it's allergen friendly, right? So the thing that we've really found that wasn't sort of the intention, wasn't really the intention, that we found is that people are choosing us because they can't really find a reason not to choose us, right? It has, we checked all the boxes that they care about, like nutrition, sustainability, quality product, and I think, I mean, that speaks a lot to, like, the passion that our team has for the product and for the mission, and it speaks to, like, that passion, like, translating into people recognizing that there are authentic people behind the product that really care about it.
Awesome. And do you typically get that data from surveys, post-purchase surveys, polls you do online, reviews, calling the customers? How do you get that information mainly?
Yeah, no, a lot from reviews for sure. Last year we did something really interesting. We sort of turned down our ad spend for a while to just sort of regroup after having a really bad return on our spend at the end of Q4 in 2021, and at the beginning, and at Q1 into Q2 of 2022. And I think a lot of people had the same issue with changes to iOS, with all kinds of changes happening at Meta. We sort of just dialed back our digital spend, and we're like, okay, how can we refocus so that we can have a successful fourth quarter? Because that's the busiest time for us, is like beginning of October through through Valentine's Day. Like, that's our busy season for chocolate, clearly. So we sort of regrouped, and one of the things we came up with was a very old-fashioned concept, which was, what if we just picked up the phone and talked to our customers, talk to our top customers about why it is they buy Raaka, what it is that resonates with them about our mission, what it is that resonates with them about our packaging or our website or the experience shopping with us. And so we sorted all of our Shopify customers, came up with a series of criteria by which we could determine who our top 1% of customers were. And then we sort of chose at random regionally some customers in that subset regionally. We talked to about 20 customers in our top 1%, and developed a survey for them that we gave them over the phone, and just sort of let them let them speak to us, and we learned all sorts of things from that for sure. And that's really helped sort of guide our like how we're fine tuning our lookalike audiences, how we're redesigning some of our packaging, the different types of promotions we're running on our website, what our innovation pipeline work looks like, and it's really helped refocus our D2C business for sure. Yeah.
I mean, it's interesting what you said, because I recently heard someone say that experts in any field do not skip the basics, right? So the fact that they are experts doesn't mean that they need to skip the basics, right? They know the basics and more, but the basics are still working. And I chatted with many companies here in the show that they actually call the customers. Some of them call all of them, some others call the VIP, even the CEO is involved, and some others went beyond and created ads, video ads, while calling the customers, and they have some cool and fun uh, ads because they actually put them on speaker. I guess they asked them for their consent. I don't know, but
Yeah.
they actually have them on speaker, and they give them really fun but useful insights at the same time. So, for example, one of them sell socks, trunk, sorry, not socks, boxers, trunks, etc. for men, and they got this customer on the ad saying that they bought one, but then they called them because they bought like 24 or something like that, and they were like surprised because of the volume in that order. They maybe thought it was a mistake or something like that, and they say, "Hey, look, my wife told me it looked good on me. So if my wife tells me that, I'm going to buy a bunch of them." So he bought 24. So these are some of the fan stories and some golden nuggets that you can get from talking to your customers. And
Yeah.
besides, if you're doing this not only for you guys, you're doing it for them.
Yeah.
Uh, if you know what they want, why they want it, that's all you need
Right.
to improve your marketing, to improve your products,
Yeah.
customer experience, and everything in your company, right?
Yeah, it's been helpful for retention too. So like we went out, like when we set out to interview them, you know, what our initial, the reason we were doing it was to help fine tune our lookalike audiences, right? That's like our primary impetus. But the other thing we found uh as we were going through that process was that um we learned all kinds of insights for retention as well. You know, I mean, one of the things that we noticed, and I, you know, talking to peers in the industry, you know, it happened to a lot of brands, is during 2020 and into 2021, so many people were trying products that they uh online that they normally wouldn't have found, just because everyone had money and were sitting at home and weren't going out to the movies or out to dinner or taking trips. So we found that we acquired so many customers, and so many of those customers didn't stick around as long-term customers. So sort of while we were interviewing customers, the thing that kept coming up over and over again was, oh, we just like that we can feel that it's real people that are making this product, right? It's we know it comes from a factory where real people are hands-on making this chocolate. We know that Caroline packs our boxes. We know that this person does this. Like, it just feels good to know the people that you're buying the product from. So we sort of rethought our email flows after this process to be like, okay, so when we acquire a new customer, how can we get that customer to come to that same conclusion as quick as possible? So we redesigned our email flows to, you know, get a special email on their first purchase from our fulfillment department. On their second purchase, get an email from our customer service department, like thanking them for coming back. And then on their third purchase, like, get an email from me, like explaining a little bit more about like our mission and the reason behind why we do things the way we do. And that's, you know, that's really helped. sort of our DTC, our strategy, our email marketing strategy, and in particular our email flows, to have that insight from our loyal customers.
Awesome. Yeah, and that truly works. People need the human touch and knowing that there are real people behind companies and people
Yeah.
there, and onboarding people through the welcome flow or any other channel as quickly as possible, and and getting them into your, let's say, flow, into your making them aware of your company values, the mission, etc. It's really important, as you said. So you mentioned email marketing. What channels do you use for acquiring customers and for retention as well?
So for acquiring customers, it's a lot of it's Google, it's Meta. Bing had a moment there for a little while that we were sort of ahead of the curve on, so that felt really good when everyone was talking about Bing, to be like, oh, that makes sense, that why our Bing ads have been so successful. Uh we do a lot of partnerships with brands that are sort of like-minded, and do email swaps with them. So like, we just did a big Momofuku uh goods release in January, and that was really good for finding consumers that are looking for similar, like, high quality food products that are made with care. So yeah, partnerships have been huge for us. Yeah.
Okay, great. So you said digitally you do Google, Meta, you do partners with like-minded companies or people. That's awesome. And what about retention? Because I know, or something we have been discussing all along, and something you just mentioned a bit, is the importance of, I mean, in costs have been increasing since 2020 or so. There was a boom in the e-commerce space because, as you said, there was a lot of consumption. People were in their homes buying and watching Netflix. I don't know what else, right? I was dealing with my, back then, 7-month twins, so I was really busy working with the twins in my free time. But people with less, let's say, that were probably with free time, we're buying a lot online, and we saw that in the
Yeah.
agency as well. But right now things are tougher, recession, inflation, costs going up. So getting that high ROAS is not as realistic as before. And even if you get that, because we do see that with our clients in the agency, we know that they are not making the same profits as before, because maybe with the 6 ROAS before, they were going great, things were going great for them, but now it's fine, but it's not great. So getting people, in this case, first time customers, to come back for more, it's key to increase the AOV, LTV, etc.
Sure.
So are you guys doing anything to do that?
It's mostly been like product strategy related. It's been making sure that we have a robust, like, seasonal calendar of releases, lots of limited releases, like teasing releases of products, like sort of treating it more the way that, like sort of taking inspiration from the fashion and like sneaker industry, to do like drops and to tease drops, and to be like, oh well, this, we have a machine full of a white chocolate that's dyed pink, like what could it be dyed with, like guess what the flavor is, and doing stuff like that to engage people and have them excited about products that are coming out. Because I mean, that's the other thing that we've sort of learned over the years in digital ads, is chocolate can be pretty difficult to sell in the modern world because of how brown it is. I mean, it's just a piece of like, it all looks the same. So our some of our product strategy around acquisition and retention has been around infusing more fun into the flavors that we're doing, into the products that we're innovating, and making sure uh, the products are visually appealing, so that they lend themselves well to Instagram and Facebook. Yeah. So we've really discovered that white chocolate, which was not something we ever thought we'd make a lot of, people really want white chocolate that's colored with all kinds of crazy different natural ingredients. I think it, sort of started by Kit Kat's brand strategy in Japan and South Korea with the matcha and the strawberry Kit Kats, and so we're sort of adapting some of that, and doing those same things, but with less sugar, with whole ingredients, without a lot of fillers, and people are sort of recognizing that and are getting really excited about um, purple yam white chocolate or key lime pie white chocolate or various things like that that are not only interesting to first time customers because the ads can be more appealing than like a sea salt dark chocolate, but are also uh, just crazy enough to work for our current customers that are just intrigued by what it looks like and want to know what it might taste like. So I think that's another thing, is just challenging our assumptions of what our customers want or what people are looking for in the chocolate space.
That's awesome. That's great. So this has been really interesting. I wanted to thank you for being on the show. But before you go, I have one more question for you. I typically ask everyone who comes to the show, as everyone listening might know by now, about any favorite books they might have. Any book that it could be business related or not. If it's business related, I guess it has helped you with something you have done for your company. So, do you have any to recommend to the audience?
Yeah, one book that I have gone back to quite a bit in sort of thinking about our marketing strategy is a book called Building a Story Brand by Donald Miller. And I think one thing that we've really taken from that is this idea that making sure that the way you frame your narrative, the idea of like the customer as the hero, right? That's the biggest thing that I took away from that book. And so it's really helped us sort of reframe our thinking, where I think starting out the brand, it was very much about, okay, how can we do better as a company and show people that we care more, right? When what really matters to the customer is what it is they're doing by buying your product. So that's really reframed the way that we've that a lot of our copy, we're rewriting some of the copy on our products, rewritten some of the copy on our website, and started to reframe the way we talk about the mission of the brand, in talking about a more direct impact what that the customer is having by their purchase, right? Like how their purchase is directly putting more money back into cocoa farmers' pockets, rather than, oh well, Raaka pays more. It's like, no, you're putting more money back into farmers' pockets. So that book has a lot of insights. I think that's the one that's been sort of like a guiding principle for us over the last 12 months or so, is this idea of making sure that through our marketing, we're framing our mission in a way that makes the end consumer, feel like they're doing something good,
Yes.
not like they're buying something from someone that's doing something good.
Yes, I read it and it's definitely recommended for the audience. In fact, it's in the list of books that we recommend here on the podcast in 2022, I think it was. And we are putting together a list for 2023, and we'll include it again because it's still, you know, pretty useful. And it's actually not only a book, it actually has a program with certified people, I think, helping companies. It has online tools for companies and brands to go through them and do some thinking about, as you said, the hero, the transformation story to clarify their message. Also, it makes you think about not only the external benefits from doing something, but also about the internal benefits, like
Sure.
what's like behind, below the surface, right? That's where the real conversations happen, as people say. So that's really important to understand. And I found the book pretty interesting. So I'm happy you're recommending it today to the audience. So I have a lot of fun. Thank you a lot for all the insights that you mentioned in this interview and for telling people about your story. This is helpful not only for people to get the classic actionable tips and tactics, but also about getting about listening to those stories, about listening why great animation is something that you can actually put into practice and not only in theory. Like, hey, yeah, I have this vision for my company and lives in the about us section of the website, right? Why collecting
Right.
first party data is important and many more things. So, where can people go to learn more about you and Raaka Chocolate?
Yeah, raacachocolate.com. That's RAAKA and then just the word chocolate .com. Yeah, that's our site. There's tons of information on there about our products, and about where they come from, about our whole sourcing model. Yeah.
Awesome. So everything that you mentioned will be in the show notes. So for everyone listening or watching, if you go to the DTCinsider.com and you click on the episode, you will find all the notes, including Raaka Chocolate's website, the book he mentioned, and many more cool stuff. So I just wanted to thank you again, Nathan, for being here in the show. It was a true pleasure to have you on.
Thanks so much, Brian. Yeah, my pleasure.